Comedy of Errors is always a good place to start in a Intro to Shakespeare course. It's an early play, 1594, relatively early in Shakespeare's career, and on the surface, at least, it's simple. It's fun. You've got two sets of twins, lots of slapstick, or what can be perceived as slapstick, in terms of the physical beatings of the Dromio, the slave twins. Although, as you can surmise, simply by that term, things are going to get a bit more complicated for us when we look at those beatings. But overall, it's a good place to start. If you may have seen a production of it, the Comedy of Errors, because of its classical structure, it's based on plays by Plautus, as you've no doubt read in your introductory material, can be staged relatively easy by a high school class, a good high school theater class, or frankly a good junior high class, and can be a lot of fun on the stage. But in terms of talking about it, in terms of trying to understand what's going on in the play, I want to go back to our earlier discussions of the Reformation. And again, remember that Shakespeare is smack dab in the middle of the Reformation. The English culture is trying to rethink what it understands about Christianity. And in trying to understand what it rethinks about Christianity, it's trying to look back through the Catholic tradition, this 1,500-year-old Catholic tradition, and go back to the true roots of the church. Luther and Calvin, again, all sorts of reformers, made the point again and again that the Christian church had been deceived all these years, that it had gone too far from its true place. And in order to get back to its truth, the Reformation had to go back to the very beginning. And the very beginning of Christianity takes you to the words or the writings of Paul, or St. Paul, that figure, that apostle, who did so much not just to create what most of us know as the Christian New Testament, but who did so much to create Christianity writ large, its understanding. It was Paul who taught us and who taught the world to believe that when Christ died for us, and that we were all to become one in Christ, right? How do you become one in Christ? How did two people become one in Christ? That's not easy. That's not easy. And that takes us to the core thematics of the course that I've described on the syllabus about the relationship between self and others. In other words, this isn't just a Christian problem, although our Western Christian framework shapes this for us. How did two people act as one? Pause there for a second. Even when your most intimate friends or your most intimate partners, there's always a little bit of yourself which is kept apart from them, and always a little bit of them that's kept apart from you. You're never completely, totally one. Keep that in mind as I talk about this in religious terms. It's not just religion. This is a kind of psychic structure which underlies a lot of the West. But Shakespeare, I want to suggest to you, with the Comedy of Errors, gets at it through Paul. You might want to take a look at Paul's book, Corinthians. In Corinthians, Paul talks a lot about this, how we all have to become one in Christ, including man and woman, man and wife. Man and wife have to become one, right? Man and wife have to become one in Christ. And this is a play that deals with the difficulty of man and wife. Right at its center, you've got Antipholus and his wife aren't getting along very well. You've got a broken family at the very beginning, broken by a shipwreck. But if you take a look at Aegeon's long speech, it can be a little bit boring, I know, but I'm going to spend some time with it. If you take a look at Aegeon's long speech, you'll see that that family, like all families, has breaks, cracks, fissures, things that set them apart even before this catastrophic shipwreck that initiates the play. So those are the things we're going to take a look at. How do man and wife become one? How do brother and brother become one? This is a play about two sets of twins. How do countries and countries become one? The play is set in Ephesus. Its opposing city is Syracuse. Where are these ancient cities? You're on the computer, get on Google, look at a map of the Mediterranean. And what you'll see is that Syracuse and Ephesus are two ancient cities looking almost directly across from each other, as if they're in a mirror. as if they're twin brothers looking at each other. And that's where the play begins.